All right, let's talk about the modern data engineering toolchain. You might hear it called the K20 standard. But you know what? Instead of just throwing a bunch of abstract terms at you, we're going to do something way more interesting. We're going to build one from scratch. For a fictional food delivery app we'll call Hungry Now. We're going to see exactly how they pick their tools to solve very real problems and ultimately grow their business.
I love this quote because it really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. It's not about just collecting the buzziest, coolest tools. It's about arming your team with the right tools, the ones that make them faster and smarter and just plain better at their jobs. And for a company like Hungry Now, that speed, that can literally be the difference between winning and losing. So that's our mission today. We're going to follow the data engineers at Hungry Now as they tackle some real-world challenges. And what's super important is we're not just going to see what tools they pick, but we're going to understand why they pick them. We're building their winning toolkit, one piece at a time. Because here's the thing. Before you can write a single line of code or pick any tool, you have to start with the business. A data pipeline, no matter how fancy or expensive, is completely useless if it doesn't answer the questions that actually matter. So, what does the team at Hungry Now really need to know?
I mean, these are the questions that keep the execs up at night, right? Where should we pour our marketing budget? Which of our restaurant partners are killing it, and which ones might need a little help? And probably the biggest one of all, are we getting food to people fast enough? Answering these questions, well, that's the entire reason for building this toolchain in the first place.
Okay, so to get those answers, we're going to need data. And to wrangle all that data, we need our toolbox. A modern data stack isn't some single giant piece of software. Nope, it's more like a collection of highly specialized tools that all play nicely together. So let's look at the main categories, the key stages of our data assembly line.
Just think of this as the journey our data is about to take. First up, we've got to get the raw materials into our factory. That's ingestion. Then we need to clean them up and assemble them into something valuable. That's transformation and storage. After that, we basically put the whole factory on autopilot with orchestration. We install a top-notch quality control system with monitoring, and we create the official blueprints for everything with DevOps.
All right, let's get our hands dirty. We're going to follow the very first byte of data on its journey. We're starting right at the front door of our system, where all this raw, messy, and kind of chaotic information from all over the business is about to come pouring in.
Ingestion is really just about moving data from where it's created to a central place where we can actually work with it. For Hungry Now, this is happening constantly. Data is streaming in from the app on your phone, from the tablets inside their partner restaurants, and from their own internal company databases. It's a constant flow.
Now, this is a really key point about modern data engineering. There is no one magic tool for ingestion. It's all about the right tool for the job. Hungry Now uses Apache Kafka to capture every single tap and swipe inside the app in real time, because Kafka is built for that kind of massive, nonstop data fire hose. But for pulling in data from third-party services like Google Analytics, they use Fivetran, which has all these pre-built connectors that make it unbelievably easy. And for those older internal databases, they use something like Azure Data Factory to pull the data on a set schedule. See? 3 different needs, 3 different tools. Okay, so the data is inside our factory now. But honestly, it's a mess. It's full of typos, missing information, weird formatting, you name it. This is where transformation comes in. It is the absolute most critical quality control step where we clean, reshape, and standardize all that data, turning it into a trustworthy asset that the business can actually depend on.
And, you guessed it, they use a mix of tools here too. The real star of the show these days is dbt. It lets data analysts write all the cleaning logic using just SQL, which is awesome for collaboration. For more complicated, gnarly tasks, like, say, trying to make sense of thousands of unstructured customer reviews, they'll write custom scripts in Python. And when they need to process millions of orders all at once, they unleash the beast, Apache Spark, which can split the work across hundreds of computers to get it done incredibly fast.
Okay, so now our data is clean and reliable. Great, but where do we actually put it? And this is a much bigger deal than it sounds. It's not just about picking a database. It's a strategic decision. You're always trying to balance 3 things: how much it costs to store the data, how fast you need to get it back, and who needs to be able to use it.
This slide perfectly captures the modern way of thinking. Hungry Now uses a whole mix of storage solutions. The supercritical order information, that goes into a classic rock-solid database like Postgres. The flexible, kind of messy data, like customer preferences, extra spicy, no onions, that's perfect for a NoSQL database like MongoDB. All the raw, unstructured stuff like app logs and photos gets dumped into a cheap and deep data lake on something like AWS S3. And finally, the clean, polished, ready-for-analysis data lands in a blazing fast data warehouse like Snowflake. That's what powers all the dashboards that answer those big business questions we started with.
So, we have our core data assembly line built. But how do we make sure it runs perfectly, automatically, every single day? And how do we stop bad data from sneaking in and breaking everything? Well, that's where these next few layers of our toolchain become absolutely crucial.
This is basically the command center for the entire operation. Orchestration tools like Airflow are like the conductor of an orchestra, telling each job exactly when to run and in what order. Monitoring tools like Grafana are the big dashboard for our factory, giving us an early warning if a machine is slowing down or a pipeline fails. And finally, data quality tools like Great Expectations are like the security guards at the gate, automatically testing our data to make sure nothing broken or weird gets through.
And of course, this whole system is built by a team of actual humans, so they need great tools to work together. They use Git to keep a complete history of every single change to their code. It's like a time machine. They use Terraform to define all of their cloud servers and databases as code, which means they can rebuild their entire system automatically, which is amazing. And then they use tools like Jira and Confluence to manage their projects and write everything down so the whole team stays on the same page.
Whew, we have just toured a lot of technology. But let's pause and bring it all back to the very beginning. Why go through all this trouble? What is the actual, tangible, bottom-line impact on the Hungry Now business? This is it. This is the payoff. The business can now make way faster decisions, like optimizing delivery routes in the middle of the dinner rush. They save money by using these flexible cloud tools instead of clunky old servers. They get trustworthy insights because they know the data is clean and validated. And thanks to automation, they get the same reliable results day in and day out. This is exactly why data engineering matters so much.
And for any of you looking to get into this field, here's how you can talk about these skills. A statement like this is incredibly powerful. See, it doesn't just list a bunch of tools. It shows you use them together in a logical sequence to solve a real problem. And mentioning a best practice like using Git for version control, that signals a level of professionalism that hiring managers absolutely love to see. And that brings our journey with Hungry Now to an end. We've seen how they assembled this powerful modern toolchain to turn raw, messy data into real business value. So the final question I have isn't for them, it's for you. Thinking about your job, or maybe even just a personal project, what business problem could you solve with a toolchain like this? Thanks so much for joining me.